Oh, yeah, that's good. I do not like standing behind a podium, so I'm so glad they had a mic. It's great to be back at St. Anthony's. I graduated, 97, I think it was. Is that right? I think 97. Look, you got to think about your child. I think it was 97. And so it's really good to be back. It's good to see we still got a few of my era teachers still hanging in there. So that's a blessing because you're still alive for me to see you. So it's good to still see some of the teachers here. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about vocation. There's two definitions when you look up the word vocation. One definition is a particular occupation, business, or profession. And the second definition is a call that specifically comes from God. So if I raise your hand, if you already know what it is that you want to do or be, just raise your hand for me. All righty. Where's my 8th graders at? All right, they're in the back. Thank you. 8th grade, raise your hand if you know what you want to do or be already. Raise your hand if you know that. All right, just give me a couple of you, shout a couple answers out. A writer? Okay, somebody else. Basketball player. Music producer. Okay, now, out of those 8th graders who raised their hand, with the second definition I just said about a call, so something that you feel God is calling you specifically to do. Does anybody feel like they know that already? Okay, I see one hand. What's that? Yeah. What was that? Repeat that. What you say?
He said the Air Force to be a pilot.
Air Force to be a pilot. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to talk to you about that your job and your vocation could overlap, but sometimes they do not. So one thing about a vocation, sometimes that vocation can be a nun, it can be a priest, it could be doing ministry work, it could be going into missions. It could just be doing something of what she said. She could say, hey, maybe God's going to use her there. Also, though, on our jobs or wherever we're at, in our schools, we can also have a ministry field. Matthew 9:9 says, as Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax office. And he said to him, follow me. So he arose and followed him. And so, as we continue to go throughout our faith, we understand that one of our missions, one of our jobs is to go make disciples. So everywhere we're at, we have this charge to be kind to people, to be nice to people, to be giving to people. We understand as we study about Jesus, that's what he did everywhere he went, no matter what he did. So if you say become a basketball player, the key is that might be your job, but the key is God may call you to then start some kind of a basketball ministry. And so he may call you to get with other basketball players so that you guys can come together and maybe encourage each other. Maybe you've gone through something in life that was tough. You could have a job, but God may call you to start another ministry that may help you. Maybe you were bullied, and so somebody helped you to understand how to get through that tough situation. So God may call you to start a online group or some kind of a blog to help other people who have maybe been bullied. And so that's the difference between a job and a calling, is you understand that it truly comes from God. So for me, I actually now own my own business. It's called Might LLC. That is an acronym that stands for Men or Women in God's Hands Transformed. And so that ministry that I do actually comes from Zechariah 4:6 that says, not by might nor power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. So what I do through that, I actually just published a book on March the 28th. It's called The New Complete You, Life Between the Lines. I go, and so through my company, I actually speak to students, I speak to adults. I also do motivational speaking. I'm going back to school this year to get my mental health license. so that I can actually have my own counseling business. But I know that God has called me to do that. So right now I work at New Albany High School as a counselor. That's my job, and I love doing it. But I know He's called for me to do the business that I'm doing and what I will probably finish doing. And so that's kind of the difference. So I know I work at New Albany High School as my job, but my vocation is what I know God has called me to do, which is the business that He has allowed me to start. The last thing I will say to you all, Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope." So, do you have to have it all figured out today? No, you don't. That's why you guys are in school. That's why you come to school, is to learn, to let these teachers pour into you, so that as you keep growing, you get these great teachers who are sometimes like your role models and your mentors. And maybe you see some of your teachers and you're like, I think I want to be a teacher. Or maybe you see the counselor and you're like, I like to be a counselor. Or maybe you want to be a firefighter. Or maybe you want to be an athlete. But the key is you don't have to figure it all out now. And the thing is, you might be more than one thing. You might be an electrician, and you might be a plumber, or you might be a teacher, and you might be this. And so the key is, as you guys keep going through your education, know that God does have a calling for each one of you. And if you don't know it now, that's okay. Our job is to make sure, though, that at some point we get still. And that I'm sure you guys, I know when I was here, we had Mass, I think it was about once a week, I believe. And so what you guys are learning here is what we then have to take back and do in our homes. And so that's where we have to sit down and be quiet so that we can hear God speak to us. And when we do that, we're able to see how God is leading us to the calling that He has for us. So I hope you guys continue to have the rest of the last good semester. I hope you guys understand a little bit more about vocation and a little bit of difference between job and vocation. And again, know these grades do matter. I'm a high school counselor at New Albany High School. I've been there 4 years now. And so I want to make sure that as you guys continue to do what you do, whether you're in kindergarten or in 8th grade, your grades truly do matter. Especially if you're trying to get into whatever you're getting into, your grades matter. So I pray that if you are struggling, get help, seek your teachers. I promise you, I know some of these teachers in here, and they love for you to be successful. I might not see you at New Albany, but that's okay. I actually graduated at Providence High School, which most of you will probably feed into. But wherever you go, keep doing your best and know that God has a great purpose for your life. Thank you all.